Hello, this is Mark. I work at one of the Apple retail store, and I want you to give you the guided tours of how to pick the right MacBook laptop for you. Concerning the thinnest and the lightest one, which is the MacBook Air, I think this is the least practical one because firstly, the hard drive is very slow, and secondly, the MacBook Air doesn't have the optical drive. But I think it's going to be a very nice, ideal laptop if you want to just carry it for presentation. You know, hook up to a large monitor during a business event or a business meeting, or if you are a speaker, you want to hook up to a PowerPoint presentations, or if you want to be a seminar host or speakers, whatever. It's depending on you. But if you want to use the MacBook Air as your desktop replacement, I think it's not the right one for you. Let me clarify briefly about all the features. The MacBook Air, in general, someone called MacBook Air a laptop, but someone calls it a netbook, but that's fine, because I don't care about the label. But the thing is, the Air is extremely thin. It has a full-size keyboard, and more importantly, when you buy a very small laptop, like netbook one, and a larger one, you're going to feel the difference because the size will be smaller. Okay? And when you push the keyboard, you can see that you cannot go through all the way up like when you were doing things when you were pushing the keyboard on the larger one. But the MacBook Air has a full-size keyboard, which is called full travel. Full travel means like if you push one key all the way up, you feel exactly the same feeling as when you were doing exactly the same thing on the larger one, which is the MacBook Pros or the iMac. Okay? You got backlit LED display, and it won't require any warming time. The battery lasts for 5 hours on one charge. So I think it's a great laptop, okay? Because if you want some things that you might have to be able to carry this all the time on the road, and you don't usually need the CD drive, it's extremely thin and it's extremely light. 1.36 kilogram is standard across the entire line. The MacBook Air is now available in two configurations. The regular MacBook Air uses regular SATA spinning hard drive. In general, I would not suggest this one because the drive is extremely slow. The running speed is only 4,000 RPM. Okay, I would suggest to go for the solid state hard drive. You got almost double the speed, you know, and I think it's much better because you won't get much vibrations, and you won't get very, you know, noisy sounds out of that unit. You want, and it drains less energy from the battery also. And so in general, when my customer asks me which one to pick, I would suggest right away is to go for the solid state. One, you pay slightly more, but in the long run, it's a great value to go for the MacBook Air solid state. So who might be interested in the MacBook Air? So firstly, it's supposed to be probably if you are a professor, university professor, teacher, business entrepreneurs, whatever, who want to just buy computers that allow you to hook up to a projector or larger screens. You can carry on the road. You go to Starbucks coffee store. You serve on the Wi-Fi. Okay, but you want to consider use the MacBook Air as your primary computer as a desktop replacement. This is not the Mac for you. Because firstly, the overall performance is extremely slow, honestly. Because in my store, I got lineups of all the MacBook models. I've been using them every day. Obviously, the MacBook Air is slowest on the range, whether in terms of processor, the hard drive speed, for the spinning speed, all the things, the RAMs, okay? Because you got no option to increase the RAMs or increase anything. Okay, of course you might open up the enclosure to change the hard drive for some reason, but in general, it's not quite practical to do that in the MacBook Air. So the MacBook Air has been specifically designed to use for presentation, for web browsing, do initial state of photo enhancement and photo editing, but it's not very good for gaming experience, 3D design. It's not very good for, you know, high-end movie editing like Final Cut Pro. You can't use the MacBook Air. So that's the truly point. In general, when you buy the MacBook Air, you're going to get only one USB port. It's called self-powered USB port. There's an accessory called MacBook Air Super Drive. It's available separately. You gotta buy it. And apart from that drive, MacBook Air has the features to borrow others' computers, DVD drive, through Wi-Fi connectivity also. But it's not. I found it's not very practical. I tried that, but it's cost me lots of hassle. But in general, if you buy the MacBook Air, I would suggest firstly you should buy the external MacBook Air Super Drive because it's very practical because it doesn't usually require any additional power source. You can just hook up your MacBook Air with this external Super Drive and you can just use it. Power comes from your USB port. Okay, MacBook Air has only one USB cell power port. So what we do, firstly, we tend to use any USB hub. But I would suggest a USB hub with its own power supply. Okay, this is very important. Or you can't do a thing. Okay, so, and also lots of people kept asking me about the MacBook Air doesn't have the LAN port because you have to buy an adapter. It's called USB to LAN adapter, which is available separately but not very expensive. Okay, it has only one small tiny 3.5 millimeters port. This 3.5 millimeters port, you can change the setting whether you want it to be audio in or audio out input port, and the power cord. That's it. So if you already have a Mac at home, like a large iMac, that's fine to go for the MacBook Air because if you want something on the road, the things are very nice and light and very thin, can go to any kinds of A4 envelopes, MacBook Air is the right choice. But if you want to considering buying the first Mac, don't go for the MacBook Air because it's going to cause you lots of hassle. It's extremely slow. It doesn't have a thing. Honestly, I would suggest the iMac or start with the MacBook White if you don't require the 5R 800 port, or you go for the MacBook Pro. That's fine. Okay? But if you are a college student, you are a lady, and you want something that's very light, you are a top executive or CEO, you want just something that allows you to do just initial state of, office tab like Word, Excel, or PowerPoint, surfing on the web, do initial state of photo editing. You don't usually require that external drive or DVD drive. You don't want to write or burn any DVD. The MacBook Air is the right one. Now it's a new trend because lots of people aim for something else, which is called the iPad. iPad, the definitions of the iPad is called mobile internet device. It's not an iBook reader. Of course, you can do iBook readers on the iPad, but it's not very practical. The thing is, allow you to do Wi-Fi, and also for the 3G model, you allow you to do 3G also. I'm not quite sure so the distinctions of the MacBook Air. I'm gonna wait and see. Okay, because it's been untouched for years for the latest models of MacBook Air. Okay, and in terms of the price, lots of people now tends to buy the entry levels of the 2.4 latest 2010 MacBook Pro. So let's figure out later on, okay? But if you are a speaker for seminars, top executive, or you're a professor, a teacher, or a college student who needs something that's very extremely light for just web browsing experience, or word processing, or do Excel stuff, MacBook Air is a light one for you because it's extremely light and thin. It's great. It can be carried out with you all the times on the road, and you're gonna love it. Enjoy your Macs and thanks for watching. I'll be back shortly with the next 3 clips.